Alright, this video is going to be a response to Individual Autonomy's video, Why Did You Leave Radical Libertarianism? It would probably help for me to give some background. I had been calling myself a libertarian since 2008, and I had held libertarian-leaning positions since 2006. But I was first exposed to what I would call radical libertarian views, or I guess stateless libertarian views, in mid-2009, and sort of adopted most of the radical libertarian positions by late 2009 and early 2010. That was the whole time where I really, held strongly to those views. And I still held pretty strongly to them through mid-2010, although I did have some concerns about certain issues. Most of these were, externality issues, stuff like that. Certain macroeconomic issues. I started to very seriously question it in late 2010, in part in response to, Spock and Individual Autonomy's videos on, immigration and libertarianism and all that. And it also led me to sort of look more into racial issues. I started reading American Renaissance. And from there I started reading, J. Philip Rushton, Richard Lynn, Arthur Jensen, all those authors who study, all the scientists who studied, differences between races, and came to the conclusion that it's most likely that there are very real, very innate differences between races, and these tend to make multiracial societies inherently fractious and ineffective. And, I guess I sort of developed a racial / ethnic consciousness around that time. I'd been very individualistic before. I became more, I guess, for lack of a better word, communitarian, collectivist, in a racialistic sense, and nationalistic sense after, sort of looking more into racial issues. Naturally, the first libertarian position that I rejected and sort of advocated, heavy state intervention to solve was, immigration. I said, basically, at least in the short run, we need state intervention to keep the country from being overrun by, Mexicans who, besides having, overall lower IQ than whites, are far more likely to commit crimes, and certainly a lot less libertarian in their positions, politically even, whites. So, that was, one of the major initial issues that I rejected libertarian positions on. Later on, I sort of looked into libertarian positions more on, macroeconomics, externalities, network effects, labor economics, all those things, and kind of saw real problems with the libertarian positions, or at least the radical libertarian positions on those. And so now I guess what I would consider myself moderately libertarian on most economic issues. I didn't suddenly go from being a libertarian to being a communist. I would definitely not call myself a radical libertarian on economic issues. There's several major areas where I think heavy state intervention is a necessity. I would say that I still more or less support most of the libertarian line on foreign policy. I'm not a religious non-interventionist, but as a practical matter, I think the U.S. does get itself into a lot of shit through its interventionist foreign policy, and we could avoid a lot of that shit by not intervening in most of the situations that we do intervene in. Naturally, of course, I'm very conservative on the immigration issue. I'm very much opposed to mass immigration. And, I would say that I'm moderately conservative on social issues. But anyway, not a particularly interesting story, but that's how I ended up leaving radical libertarianism.